Hey, Jackson.
Hello, Jackson.
Oh boy. Potatoes. Take it this means I'm reviewing the potato season?
Only one way to find out.
Okay, let's do this. Oop. Really stuck on there.
Apparently.
Review Series 2 of Taskmaster UK by giving a top 10 favorite tasks from the series. You have 20 minutes. Your time starts now. Well, saw that coming. Okay, let's do this. Like Series 1, this series doesn't yet feel like how the show does now, but it's headed in that direction. The stupid iPad holder is gone. They're in a studio instead of the theater, so the weird sound and look of the connecting bits is gone. Not that I have normal sound right now. Also, the prizes aren't shown in the top of the theater, and they're presented at the end of the show by lifting the giant screen. And Greg doesn't stand for the intro and ending. Alex is still just Alex Horn and not little Alex Horn. Oh, and the trophy's there now.
It's with the ultimate goal of lifting my heavy golden head above their ordinary heads.
So, no more karate trophy that's just presented at the end, having not been seen at all throughout the rest of the series. One really weird bit has changed, though. The first series had 6 episodes. This series only has 5. I don't know what happened. I'd love for someone to tell me why this happened, because it's sad to not have as much for the next group. Anyway, in the Taskmaster house, the living room still is a bit sparse, and the caravan is still not there, and Greg's portrait has changed in the living room. I'm really glad that trend started immediately. I would hate for them to be stuck with one portrait throughout the whole thing that doesn't reflect how Greg looks now. Another weird thing is this. Well, I'll say this. I'm not going to show the ending, but the series ended with Alex just declaring the winner, rather than giving 5th place, then 4th place, etc., which is just different. It's weird. I feel like it doesn't let the other contestants get as much attention as they do now at the end. Anyway, with that stuff that's just different now out of the way, let's get to the contestants for this series. This series' contestants are Doc Brown. His real name is Ben Bailey Smith, which is what he's usually credited under now, but when he was on the show, he used the name that, according to Wikipedia, is his rap name. So I'm just going to stick with Doc Brown in order to be consistent with the show. Also, fun fact, he was in an episode of Doctor Who. Trust me, if one of the comedians that appears on this show was also in Doctor Who, I will find it and I will say it. Joe Wilkinson. He is this season's lovable loser. He was an absolute delight to see on the show. John Richardson. I sadly don't have much of an intro for him. I will say he had a very practical approach to tasks that sadly generally weren't as memorable as other contestants. And Catherine Ryan. Catherine is an absolute maniac. She brought an incredible chaotic energy to this. I love every second of her on this. And lastly, Richard Osman, the only contestant to get close to Greg in terms of height. I'm kind of sad they never stood next to each other throughout the show so that we could see it. The closest I have is this picture, which is the first Google search result when you search their names. I also want to point out that this is the potato series, but when I looked back at the series, I expected a lot more potato tasks than there were, but there's only just a noticeable amount of potatoes. Not enough to make you go, why are there so many potatoes? But instead, they have just enough potato-based tasks to make you go, there are a lot of potato tasks here.
Potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
With all that out of the way, let's get to the top 10. Number 10.
Using this camera.
Take a picture of an inanimate object that looks like you.
I love seeing things like this. There's just something delightful about finding something out in the world that looks like you. There's not much else to say about it. It's a clever idea. With Doc's attempt, everyone talks about someone called JLS.
A pretty close resemblance.
I don't think you look like Marvin from JLS.
And I'm either too young or too American to get it, and I'm not researching it. But it's a decent approximation, I think. Joe's reference photos are excellent.
We do have a second picture of Joe where he looks, well, there's more of a similarity.
I love how it's both nothing like him and exactly the kind of thing he would do. And I think it's that second thing that really drives home it's a great picture.
And do you know what? If you'd just shown me the toaster, I still would have guessed Joe.
John getting a 3D print of his head is excellent. I love 3D printing. It's how I get my wax seals for the tasks. Did I just break the fourth wall too much? The drawing of Catherine is pretty good. There's not much else to say about it, it's just a decent drawing. But Richard's is absolutely pitch perfect. It genuinely looks like he was the model for that display, which is exactly why I love this kind of thing. And this attempt is the reason this is at number 10. On to number 9.
Rescue the cat.
Best rescue wins. Time starts now.
Answers to the name, patatas.
I guess they decided to take the famous screenwriting book and make it real. I mean, that works. I will say I'm with Greg. The important point of this task is rescue.
My main concern when we set this challenge was the welfare of patatas, and we consciously used the word rescue.
It's a cat. Don't smack it in the face or drop it on the ground. It's a cat. Treat it nicely. So of course John, Joe, and Doc start by throwing things at patatas. Perfect! They were able to get patatas down quickly, but you know, they threw things at his little face. But at least John caught patatas.
Ah! Good job I caught him, it really hurt.
Catherine at least attempts to use a long pole to get him down.
All right, here we go.
Even gets Alex to use a bag to catch patatas.
Go! Yeah!
Which is a great rescue. She didn't smack him, but she did save him. Richard Osmond, according to Catherine,
This is no fair with Richard Osmond. Just reach up.
but instead he gets some stuff to try and reach up, but ultimately
That was awful. Still, sorry, patatas.
Bye-bye, Richard.
So goodbye, Alex.
Bye-bye.
he gives up because he spent 45 minutes, according to him, at it. Which I think is the first time that happened in the show. Honestly, I just love the introduction of patatas and the literal interpretation of the screenwriting book. Number 8. Get the potato under the bandstand. This is the first task where I can't use a clip of them reading the task because the person with the important task can't read it and everyone gets different tasks, so that's the name I came up with for this. This is a very interesting team task where, unlike some later series' tasks where 3 team members are critical to the entire task working, where they just use one of them as an obstacle, where the team of 2 have that last third member filled in by Alex, who is perfect for being an obstacle.
Ow. Ow.
Perfect.
They couldn't do that here, so they got Josh Widdicombe from the last series to join them for the task to help fill in for the team of 2, which is a very fun way to fill in that spot, and also I don't think was ever done again, and that's just interesting to me that they did that here. I like it. For this task, each of the 3 team members have one of whatever this meme is called, senses taken away. One person can't see, one person can't speak, one person can't hear. And they need to communicate with each other to get the one who can't see to find and take a potato to the team member that can't speak. Oh, and the person who can't speak is the only one to know the goal of the task. It's not a difficult problem to overcome. Both teams are able to quickly realize that you're not specifically disallowed from texting, which makes it allowed. But then the one who can't hear must direct to the person who can't see, which can be very scary. For the team of 3, the first big obstacle is Joe forgets his own phone number.
Do you want my number? Code 7. What's my number?
As he tries to tell it to Catherine, which is so funny. Nowadays, it's your friends and your family whose phone number you don't know, because it's all saved and you just have to look up the name of the person. But seriously, how do you forget your own phone number? Oh, man. Despite these problems, they're able to direct Doc relatively easily, and Catherine even claps to help get him over the line.
She can't talk, by the way.
Yeah, okay, I get that.
She can't talk. One more yard.
So you can't talk. You need a potato.
Overall, it's a decent attempt. The team of 2, and Josh, goes well, with Joe trying to do charades before figuring out texting is allowed.
I can't see it.
And then he texts Richard, and Joe later describes the text hilariously.
funny looking back over a text exchange like, oh, I hope Fulham win tonight, and then just a text that says 10 a.m, I need a potato.
Josh is able to find the potato by feel alone, which is impressive. It took the other team a lot longer to search through that, and him going, is this it? Is this it? However, instead of clapping, John decides to help direct the blindfolded guy by giving him thumbs up.
John?
But somehow, that team was faster. I'm guessing it was the remembering your own phone number that slowed the team of 3 down. Also the searching through potatoes and carrots and parsnips, but yeah. I really just enjoy the use of this, whatever it's called, and bringing in a guest to help fill out a team made this a really fun task. Number 7.
Seal this pineapple on your person.
No part of the pineapple may be thrown away.
Most incorrect guesses wins.
What on earth is a pineapple doing here? This is the potato series. How could you mix that up? I mean, it does make some kind of sense. I mean, potatoes don't generally come big enough to make this an interesting task. But before we get into too much of the task itself, I just want to say I love little Alex's little spinner device. It's not really needed, but it is whimsical enough that I can't help but love it. I'm amazed no one thought to put more fruits or objects on them to make Alex guess those wrong objects. Richard gets the closest to this idea.
In your right jacket pocket.
No.
But he has a lot of pieces around him and works pretty well. John uses a lot of places on him by putting the pieces of pineapple in incredibly specific places.
Right pocket, no. The little key pocket, yes.
And that would be the other way to win this. The other one, like I said, having a lot of fake outs. Joe is attempting the most fake outs by having something else in his hat and I think in his pockets, but that's either a great fake out or he didn't think it would spin.
Is there pineapple in your hat?
No.
Well done.
Doc does decent by hiding in lots of places.
Is there some pineapple inside Doc?
Yes.
Pineapple concealed in cling film around your torso.
Yes. I essentially created 2 insteps out of pineapple leaves.
Catherine decides to use a corset, which is an incredibly effective technique to have it around her but not have it be as visible.
Front area?
What do you mean the front area?
Wow.
I'm 90% sure I correctly identified that clothing item correctly. If I'm wrong, I'm sure someone will correct me. I will say she also managed to use Alex being uncomfortable to her advantage.
15 times. But
Yeah,
partly
because
because
you were avoiding her front area.
I
weren't
was,
you?
yeah.
To make him guess in lots of places. She also did a high-risk, high-reward technique by putting lots of the pineapple in the corset. I'm just really enjoyed the creativity of the various techniques that can be done with something like this. Number 6.
Make the best music video for a nursery rhyme.
You have 1 hour.
I forgot about this task, which it always makes a nice thing to find on returning to a series. This task ultimately made it here because of John's disturbing attempt. I don't know what possessed him to do this, but I'm honestly so happy he did. Catherine does an original story with lots of fun colors that is so sincere it works, while being about a very silly thing with James the Dirty Tooth.
His toothbrush long forgotten, that's James, James the Dirty Tooth.
I enjoyed it and honestly could have used it when I was a kid. It's a good song. Richard decides to go full YouTube by putting an ad before his video.
I used to borrow my neighbour's wheelbarrow before I bought a Johnson's wheelbarrow. Now...
Which is great and weird and bizarre and honestly captures the YouTube spirit really well. He then goes whimsically silly by having him sing while knocking things out of people's hands and stealing a ladder before going into his shed. It's just inexplicable to me, but I love it. Doc does a rap about a fish biting his finger.
You let it go. Bit my finger, bro.
Again, insane. This is a great task. It just defies my vocabulary. I don't know what to say. But I do have a lot to say about Joe's attempt. Joe does a half-assed attempt at Old MacDonald Had a Farm, where he's making Alex do a lot of the work here. And he basically pretends to sing a little.
E-I-E-I-O, with an oink, oink here.
But, yeah, not everyone's going to try on every task. But there is a weird kind of entertainment to the whole thing. Number 5.
Eat me, fastest wins. Sheesh.
Eating an egg should not be as entertaining as this. But what I really love about this is the presentation. I love that even though it's not an envelope task, it gets a wax seal in front of it, which is nice. What's interesting is literally everyone knows the fastest way is to just crack it and eat it raw.
I'm not eating a raw egg.
Well, that's not going to work, is it? Am I going to eat it raw?
And they're all scared to actually do it. John cooks his in the microwave.
I mean, if a task's worth doing, it's worth enjoying, right?
Doc fries his. Both essentially eat them straight out of cooking them. Both instantly regret it. But then they don't stop because they want to win, which makes for a hilarious combination.
Oh, really hot.
Oh! Every so often on this show, an attempt is done where the person knows they won't win, so they go for 1 point by making it entertaining. Which brings me to Joe's attempt, where he makes a full English breakfast. It's just great comedy. It even includes 2 cans and a bottle of ketchup that don't have their brands hidden, which I did not expect the house to have ungreeked food, but I guess it was here. But Joe is just clearly having a lot of fun with this. Catherine has a similar realization, but decides, if I'm not going to get 5 points, don't try.
Sorry, guys. I'm not gonna eat the egg. Bad sportsmanship. I'm not gonna eat the egg.
So she gets 0 because she doesn't eat the egg. Which I guess is an approach. Richard does what everyone knew was best but inadvisable. Everyone's energy in this is great, and it's just a simple task that, yet it has that element of danger by risking salmonella. Number 4.
Make the best stop-motion film starring this potato.
You have 1 hour. Your time starts now.
We have another team task, and this one didn't even require an extra person. I think typically in the show when the task involves making a short movie of some kind, they usually don't show much of the how it's made process, but here they did, which it is actually really nice to have that. I kind of wish they'd done that more. The team of 2 does a very fun horror movie with a great horror movie pun. They have a potato with either bulbous eyes or boobs. Might even be antenna for the alien. But in the studio, they don't talk about that, which honestly is a little weird. I fully expected Greg to say something, but...
And a mutant potato who's living underground.
I do love the vibe of having the potatoes take over the world. It's honestly a really decent video, and seeing the interpretations that people have to it in the studio is really great. I love the way that the same film can make 2 different yet close interpretations of the same thing. Before the team of 3 goes, there's a great moment where Greg clearly expected people to be bad at this.
It genuinely went down pretty well.
It did, better than we thought when we wrote this.
The team of 3 does a Bond film, which is a very fun choice. The face on James Spud is great, but using a masher as Blofeld and using Patatas as his cat is fantastic. It's made slightly weird by having Catherine kill James Spud with her heel, but I guess they just didn't know how to end it, so did that. These short films are both simply fantastic. Before we get to the top 3, I just want to say, I love tasks with simple premises and just an absurd obstacle, as you will see with all of these. Number 3.
Get all this shopping into the shopping trolley.
Fastest wins.
Putting things in a shopping cart is simple. putting them in a shopping cart that can't cross a creek that's 3 feet deep is an absurd obstacle. Catherine runs around a bridge and finds that the cart has broken wheels, which is another bizarre obstacle. It's great, and her attempt is nice and straightforward. Doc has a great attempt where he fails to throw things across the creek, but him realizing there are 2 bridges after supposedly finishing the task is hilarious.
There's a bridge there. There's a bridge there as well.
I say supposedly because of this moment.
Oh, God.
Which is just so sad. But he does delight Alex by calling him dude.
Did you call me dude? No one has ever called me dude.
John is better at throwing, but he makes a lot of throws before going to the bridge and forgetting to take sponges out of his coat. But his excuse is hilarious.
Oh, I put your sponges in the trolley and I always carry 2 sponges.
Joe just moves quick, like a maniac.
Starts now.
Just staying in the water and moving very quickly, and it works out really well for him. But my favorite attempt is Richard's attempt, which starts with him pumping up the mattress before opening the task.
In case it's a your time starts now task, I might have a little look at what we have first. What I might do, should I pump up the boat before I even open up the thing? I could do that.
Which in the future would be a rewarding type of idea for people to do, but it doesn't help him in this case. But I will say Catherine's response to it is something.
I pump up the bed before I know what to do. What do you go out each night with a condom on? Like, just...
But ultimately, in his attempt, Richard goes across, realizes the wheels don't work, so he decides to just chuck the cart across the creek, which is magnificent. He then puts everything in the cart, leaving the mattress to look perfectly ridiculous. Number 2.
Place these 3 exercise balls on the yoga mat.
On the top of that hill.
The first filmed task of the series. Like the last one, is a simple premise with a crazy obstacle. It's such a big hill. It's also a simple obstacle. It's just a really big hill. And Joe's reaction to the big hill is great.
Time starts now. Up there. Are you serious?
John has a decent idea to carry 2 balls, kick 1, but at the top, one of them runs away.
No!
He eventually gets it done. Joe checks for if his slips at the top, but then slowly the wind affects him, taking the ball far away from him. But again, he is eventually able to complete the task. Then something weird happens. Greg defends Alex.
How many minutes do we add for him insulting the Taskmaster's assistant?
That's me.
Yeah.
Alex responds, he's okay with it.
I liked it.
Are you?
Alex, I do have a question for you. Do you regret this moment? Like, seriously, are you really okay with everyone abusing you like they do? Because it's a lot. Doc decides to keep one at the top of the hill with a single small rock on one side. It doesn't help. He eventually gets 2 people to sit on the balls at the top while he goes and gets the 3rd, and he's able to solve it again. But I do wonder, where did the 2 people come from? Were they just on the top of the hill? Why were people climbing it when a film crew was up there? Just where did they come from? Catherine recruits 2 people at the bottom of the hill to follow her up to sit on the balls to watch them. And she protects herself from disqualification by having them not carry the balls up with her and just sit on them. She charms them more than Doc did his helpers, and you can tell because you can see their faces. This might have been the best attempt, in principle at least, if it wasn't for the reason that this task is at number 2. Richard, on his attempts, reads the task again, then finds a loophole. He climbs the hill, gets the yoga mat, and brings it down, and then puts the balls on the yoga mat on the main floor. Richard's answer to this is perfect. and is the type of attempt Taskmaster was made for. Before we get to number 1, let's talk about some honorable mentions.
Buy a gift for the Taskmaster.
2 attempts of note here, including Doc giving Greg a gift that's a reminder of his childhood when he was mean to his sister.
When we were kids called Mad Helmet Murderer. My sister, who was 11 at the time, wearing this helmet, and then we would jump out with cricket bats and smash.
Which is just a great thing to get someone, something from their past that you had to do a little work to find. Really nice. The other attempt worth talking about is Catherine Ryan.
What's your name? I changed it.
Where she says she has taken advantage of a weird legal loophole to get him named a lord. Where have I heard that before?
It seemed like everyone and their mother was advertising established titles this year. Is it a scam? Yes.
Oh yeah. This reminds me of known scam, established titles. Catherine doesn't say where she bought this 1 foot square of land, but it definitely falls under the established titles brand of scam. Don't get me wrong, it's fun to have people occasionally call Greg Lord, but I don't get as much enjoyment out of this because it's a scam.
Set a fun task.
Your task must take no more than 1 minute.
We didn't see John setting up
A task, and we needed a guinea pig.
As I was rewatching this, I genuinely didn't remember what the individual task was this season, but this one was very fun and different by having everyone make a quick task for one person to do and then having them guess who gave them each of those mini tasks.
Make a bridge over the river using only items on this table.
Highest self-supporting bridge wins. Highest. There's strength in arches.
Unfortunately, outside of that amazing quote, and everyone's reaction to finding out that there was extra supplies under the desk.
I think it means under the table.
The tools fit.
And multiple signs telling them that there was stuff under the table. I didn't find this task as entertaining as it could be, but it is a great moment. Last one of these that I'll talk about is a final task that I'll just call clap as many times as possible. This task is mostly notable for Richard Osmond and how he was able to settle legitimate issues Catherine and Ryan had with this task, and pointing out how people who grew up with feminine backgrounds won't necessarily know how to tie ties.
This is an example of the type of misogyny that keeps people like me losing!
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to read all the words here. I'm going to move 1 comma. Eat a whole banana correctly. Put on a tie.
The moved comma is simply perfection. With all of that out of the way, let's finish this. Number 1.
Get this potato into the golf hole.
You may not touch the red green.
I love the first appearance of the red green. It's just a simple, silly little premise that is used a lot in the show. Greg's intro, which describes everyone's attempts, is great.
One thing you wouldn't do is you wouldn't just throw the potato at the hole and hope for the best.
Richard comes up with a great technique of putting things on the red green and stepping on them to get to the golf hole. Catherine comes up with 2 ideas that are both good, but in combination are not as good. The first idea, move the red green with something else. The second idea being tie a string around the potato. The problem is just changing from one of those ideas to the other doesn't work as well. If you're moving the red green, you can keep moving it. Doc decides to tape things together to try and retrieve the potato, which works, before he's eventually able to throw it directly in. John is able to throw it in after a couple attempts and getting a few things to retrieve the potato. Now, if you haven't seen this series yet, this might seem like a kind of boring task. I do understand that. But this is at number 1 for a reason. That reason, this task made me understand sports. I'm from Kansas, where the Kansas City Chiefs are everything, and I simply don't care. I don't understand sports people. They don't make sense. But from what I've heard people talk about with sports, I felt like with this task, I finally understood the majesty of sports. With that in mind, it's time to talk about Joe Wilkinson's attempt. We get to see the full attempt from when he read the task. and we get to see his nervousness and what he knows is a bad idea, but he does it and he nails it. He gets it in the hole in 14 seconds. Joe deservedly takes a standing ovation from all of the participants and the roaring of applause from the audience. He cries in the video. It's the greatest bit of potato-based sports ever made. Greg even says, let's watch it again.
Well, it's so incredible. I'd love to see it again.
Then they do. Then they do. Greg sums it up best.
Sometimes it's hard to be the taskmaster. Sometimes you've got to crush dreams.
And Joe's face is perfect.
Please don't take it away from me.
Like I said, this task gave me emotions I genuinely didn't know were possible for me, and is the closest thing I have ever come to feeling what sports fans do when they rule a ball is 1 inch outside of bounds. And Joe's disqualification is heartbreaking. Greg gives the choice to the other 4 contestants and says he'll never do this again, but they get to vote on it. And I will say, having seen all of the series of Taskmaster, including the at the time of writing currently airing series 20, he has never done this again. But yeah, this disqualification of an attempt is why this is at number 1. I love this series. Alright, I think that's it. See you later, Jackson.
Thank you, Jackson.
What is a potato? What is a pineapple doing in the potato season? This is the potato. Serious, Jason. What? Okay. What is a pineapple doing here? This is the potato season. I keep saying it.